thanks for instigating that, Suzanne.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
I agree.
Okay, we're live.
All right, welcome everybody. Today is Tuesday, August 5th, 2025. This is Pickens County Planning and Zoning Commission regular meeting. And today on the agenda, we have the Gardner Conceptual Subdivision Review and GMQS application. But before we begin that, are there any, present we have Doug, Suzanne, Joe Mason online, and myself. And before we begin, do we have any commissioner comments that?
I have one more that's on the subject.
Okay, then we want to wait until we.
Yeah.
Perfect. Any planning staff comments that aren't pertinent to the application?
No.
All right. And Bonnie, do we have any members of the public right now?
We have no members of the public, but Joseph Kraybacher did just join.
Perfect.
So, Joseph, Kraybacher, if you would like to let us know you're here, and then I believe you'd have to excuse yourself at this time.
Yes, I'm here. I could hear you before, but I guess I wasn't coming through because I hadn't been added as a panelist yet.
Yeah, sorry.
I heard the whole conversation. I saw Grafton. He looked a little distressed when it looked like this thing was going to have to be postponed. So Grafton, cheer up, buddy. Not going to get postponed at this point in any event. But yeah, I have done work for this this particular applicant, so I'm going to have to disqualify myself. But you know, Joe Mason's here, so you guys can take it from there. And yeah, it's also my understanding that as long as we have a quorum, if somebody drops off and you result in less than a quorum, that you can continue to still conduct business.
Joe, I understand what you're going to do. I just want you to be in on this. As I ask the applicants, do you understand what is going on, and are you comfortable with proceeding like this?
Yes.
Okay.
I think my application is strong enough, and I think we're gonna be okay.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, Grafton. Thanks, Joe.
Okay.
Hand this over to staff.
Bye.
Conceptual subdivision review, rural area GMQS competition activity envelope.
Go. Okay, Franco Palumbo with Pickens County Planning Department. We have the applicant with us, represented by Grafton Smith with Grafton Smith Planning. I know the owner is also here in the audience, Donna Gardner. So they're all available for any questions you may have. Today's application in front of you is the GMQS application for a new development right in the rural area. And then, of course, everything kind of hinges on that scoring. And if you guys approve the scoring threshold, then we can continue on to conceptual subdivision review, activity overview, and a special review for a caretaker dwelling unit CDU. So the subject property is 1350 Lower River Road. The property is known as the lot 16 of the Aspen River Valley Ranch. With meets and bounds legal description. The zoning for the property is agricultural residential AR10. And the property does have some discrepancies with property size in the application. The recent survey says it's approximately 40 acres and change, whereas the assessors, the county assessors has it, and the previous survey has it at 37 acres and change. And that discrepancy may be due to the RAPTA right away. We can get into that more. And if, again, stop me if you guys have any questions when we go through this. I'll be more than happy to answer them. So again, the request, rural area residential GMQS allotment development right. So the development right that is being asked is 6,750 square feet of residential floor area. And so the conceptual subdivision review, and then the other request, the conceptual subdivision review, activity envelope review, and special review for CDU. So they want to subdivide the property into 2 lots, one on the north side of Lower River Road, which would be lot 2, and one on the south side of Lower River Road, lot 1, or the following parcel. And that parcel, approximately 26 acres, is already developed, has a barn, has a single family residence, and there's no proposed improvements on that property. Whereas lot 2 is the subject property of today's discussion. And it's approximately 12.329 acres. And that's going to involve an approximately 1 acre activity envelope. And I have a single family residence up to 5,750 square feet, a detached CDU in the up to 1,000 square feet. So that's where we get the 6,750 square feet. An OWTS, 20,000 gallon water storage tank, a barn, and driveway access from Lower River Road. So the process, just kind of quickly go over the process of GNQS allotments for new development right. So scoring is performed by you all, the commission, and scoring of the application so once you score, you adopt the resolution awarding that allotment based on the scoring and subsequent ranking of each application. And in this case, there's only one GNQS application for a new development right. So there's no competition. Development allotments are effectively denied if they don't meet scoring threshold. And so for a new development right in the rural area, this minimum threshold is 22 points. And then the other process that would follow if threshold is met of 22 points is conceptual subdivision review, activity envelope review, special review for CDU. And that process is upon receipt of the allotment. Then we can continue on to those processes, those land use review processes. And those processes will be reviewed by the commission and recommended for approval, denial, or approval with conditions to the Board of County Commissioners, the BOCC. The GNQS allotment request, again, so this is part of the January 15th, 2025 allotment deadline. So the county has 2 deadlines, one in September, one in January. And so with this deadline and this time of allotment in January, the maximum allotment is 8,625 square feet in the rural area for new development right. And again, the applicants are requesting the 6,750 square feet of residential floor area. So there's no competing applications were submitted. The minimum threshold is 22 points, and staff has scored the application up at 24 points. So now we kind of get into some scoring. On the right hand side is the total possible scoring that you could receive, and that is 30 points, excluding the bonus, and we don't count bonus when there's no competition. So 30 points is the maximum. Staff has scored this application at 24 points. Getting into the GNQS commitments, staff had some of the commitments. So with get into it, the first kind of category is fire protection and installation of the applicant is going to be installing a 20,000 gallon tank for emergency water connected to a dry hydrant. And the Roaring Fork Fire and Rescue had mentioned within the referral comments that that's a huge tank and that would be very sufficient for neighboring properties for fire suppression and alongside the steep slopes behind the property as well for any wildfire. The applicant is also committing a $10,000 contribution to Pickens County Public Works Department. If you've gone down Lower River Road recently, they are doing construction down there, and that construction is for the replacement of culverts. Stabilization of roadways, road damage, repair, shouldering, asphalt milling and overlay paving. And if you look at that survey in that slide, there is a portion of Lower River Road that is outside the current RAFTA right of way. And so the applicant is deeding a portion of Lower River Road to the county. So that's, I think at the greatest point, that's 16.7 feet of encroachment onto the property. And so the applicant is, just to deed a portion of the property to the county for that right of way encroachment. Some additional commitments. They are currently the driveway is accessed off of Lower River Road. And that access is existing. RAFTA has acknowledged that there is a license agreement for that existing access. And so that access is going to be preserved so that, other accesses were contemplated during this application, but they have committed to preserving that existing access so that there's no additional trail work that is required. The applicant is also going to be dedicating a recreation, or sometimes called fishing, easement from the center of the Roaring Fork River all the way to the southern property boundary. So above Highway 82, as you can see in the slide. That was from comments from CPW, because they've said that there are some recreationalists that like to go up into that BLM land. As you can see, that BLM land in the smaller picture and that state of Colorado land is pretty difficult to get to. There's an existing access, I believe, off of Watson Divide that is not a permanent access to that BLM land. So offering up, an additional access spot was a benefit for CPW. And so the applicant also acknowledged that they would be willing to expand the proposed recreational easement. The applicant is also committing a $10,000 contribution to Pickens County Open Space and Trails. Pickens County OST has been doing some significant upgrades to the Rio Grande Trail along Lower River Road, as you may have noticed this year, and that's a contribution for that continued work. Additional commitments, the applicant has committed to a covenant or mechanism at the county's desire to preserve the water and secure the water on the property. And discussions with Open Space and Trails said that the best way for the county to preserve or the applicant to preserve water and secure water to the property, so it never to be severed, is through a conservation easement. And the applicant has agreed with Open Space and Trails that that will be the best way to preserve that water tie that water to that property. And so that conservation easement will secure 0.5 CFS of water rights, and that's per day on the last chance ditch. And that will be to never sever that water from that property. The applicant is also committed to expanding the irrigated pastures to the south side of the Wheatley ditch. That's highlighted in green in the application and on that slide. And the riparian buffer is committed to be greater than 50%. So that's currently riparian buffers are 100 feet. So that would be committing to 150 feet of a riparian buffer from the Roaring Fork River. So you're going to go into the Dream Coast commitments. So roughly 45% of that proposed lot 2 will be dedicated in a conservation easement. Again, not just to secure the water rights, but also to conserve the open space. And And I know we have Paul Holsinger with Open Space and Trails online as well, so if you do have any questions about some conservation easement lingo or any further questions, I believe he'd be happy to help with that. And so, above, CPW did not want any development to really happen above that last chance ditch. Because it is such prime habitat and it's old sagebrush. And so it's good habitat and they didn't want any development up there, so the applicant has committed to enhancing that habitat, putting it into a conservation easement. And then not only enhancing the habitat on proposed lot 2, but also on the fatherland parcel as well, along the Roaring Fork River. So on the northern banks of the Roaring Fork River, willows and riparian vegetation will be installed within a covenant if approved. The applicant is also committed to any barbed wire on the fencing to be removed and replaced with wildlife fencing. And the applicant is committed to clustering for future development so that not large areas to be disturbed. The applicant, the proposed activity envelope is sited along the nearest neighboring boundary, property boundaries, so the zone of influences for wildlife will be minimized. And I know the conservation easement would be contiguous with adjoining property owners to the west. I'm blanking on a property owner's name, but it's Paul probably knows. But it wouldn't be an island of a conservation easement, it'd be adjoining to neighboring conservation easements. So the activity envelope, again, is located at the greatest practical extent from Lower River Road. So it's going to be preserving those open meadows that you see from Highway 82 all the way down to Lower River Road, the Rio Grande Trail. And so without going into that sagebrush and scrub oak area, the density, again, we're talking in my scoring sheet, I kind of gave the option. You could look at it as a 37-acre property or a 40-acre property. I scored it based on the 37-acre property. I believe it's if the density reduction is at 50%, that's 2 points. If it's less than 50% between another threshold, that's 1 point. And so when I scored it, looking at the 37 acres, it becomes 1 point. And I know we had this code section 5.10.20 of the code that talks about reduced density for steep slopes. And that's essentially any area, if a property has steep slopes greater than 45%, which this property does, highlighted in red, then it begins property reduction once you get to that 30% point. So when I went on the Pickens County GIS, Geographic Information Systems, and maps, approximately steep slopes, I was right at that 30% mark, 30% of the property with area greater than 45%. And because it was right at that threshold, it did not obtain a reduction in density when I calculated it. So that's where I got the reduced allowed density. Let me know if you have any questions on that one. They also committed to record a covenant to install landscaping on proposed lot 2 to provide visual buffers of the development and from the scenic corridors. And then if you've driven down Lower River Road, you'll notice that some properties have those linear tree plantings in that image. I don't know if my cursor works on this, but as you can see, just to the neighboring property to the east, there's a row of trees that that is that linear tree fencing, and so the applicant is committed to not having that so that they can preserve that open space and meadow feel. Additional GMQS commitments. The applicant again is not proposing to develop more than 6,750 square feet of residential floor area. And this reduction, now we have a 9,250 square feet maximum allowed floor area in the AR10 zone district with with no overlay. So that is approximately 73%. And I didn't catch this when I was writing my memo, my scoring sheet, my resolution. But I did catch this today. And previously, it would be, I believe, 1 point for, I believe 75%. And under, but when we changed to 9,250, it became 2 points for 75 and under. And I believe in Grafton's application, he was also using the old scoring method, when it was still 15,000 square feet, of development right. And that all got changed in 2023. So this scoring for, this scoring under reduction of visible mass should have been a 3 based on this chart. What? Well, in total, this should have been a 3 because also they're reducing the height by 15%, which is a 1 point. As well.
So
Yeah.
Go ahead.
to reflect that, is the county staff's recommended scoring of this now 25? Would that be accurate?
That would be an accurate description, 25, yeah, and I would just have to make those changes if you guys agree.
Suzanne?
Mhm. I was just gonna be sure I understood exactly what you had just said.
Yeah,
But that is that while you had scored reduction of visible mass as a 2, you're saying, you're correcting yourself and saying it should be a 3.
should be a 3,
Okay, good.
based on this chart, yeah.
Yeah.
I was using Grafton's application, and the percentages.
Yeah.
And previously, 73% reduction
Mhm.
would have been 1 point, but now it's 2 points.
Oh, nice. Does that mean go up?
And just so, you'll probably remember this from the code amendments that came through for 9250. Suzanne worked with Rye to basically adjust those percentages to reflect that 9250 versus the 15,000.
Suzanne Wolf.
Development below allowable density isn't what we're talking about. We're talking about reduction of visible mass, isn't it? Like development below allowable density, excuse me. Isn't that what we're talking about? C3, as opposed to reduction of visible mass. Isn't that the category we're in?
Yeah, so that one, so see,
So that's a 2 and it's a 1 on the one below. That's what I'm understanding to get the extra pointer.
What did you say? What is it to?
The development below allowable density,
Section C, number 3.
Section
is
3.
where-
max or 2, isn't that where we are?
Yeah, so instead of the awarded 1 point, it went to the awarded 2 points in C3, is that correct?
see, that's because. No, in C. That's in the,
There's no change to the density, because the density is about how many lots they're creating.
yeah.
There's a change to the mass because it's rents are based on 15,000 square foot, so the percentage of
It's the
mass.
visible mass, it's the density is lots,
Gotcha.
mass is.
So in C4,
Thank you,
it would be 3
3 points.
points awarded, yep, okay,
Exactly.
all right,
Okay.
What are you? Oh, that sheet.
yep,
I'm just, there's a lot of sheets.
yeah.
Yes.
Okay, And again, with GMQS, allotments, we have to consider the comprehensive plan. And with this property, it's within the Woody Creek Master Plan. And that master plan was adopted in 2016. I kind of took out some applicable, applicable excerpts from that master plan. It says conservation easements is a good mechanism for preserving open space and trails. Open space is a prime component of the rural area. I know that they also say no subdivision of 2 35-acre ranchettes, which are essentially what I suspect the 35-acre, but this is a completely different zoning as well. And what I took from it was that, again, this application is encumbering acreage on that proposed lot 2 with the conservation easement. The recreation easement is also going to be from a large portion of that fathering parcel to never be developed. Essentially, it's a recreation easement. People have ability to access, and that recreation easement will be contiguous with adjoining neighbors' recreation easements. And I believe there's only one more recreation easement to the west that would make a contiguous fishing at recreation easement from this the gardener's property all the way to downtown Basalt. So we're getting closer with the county's goals on having more open space and recreation for the community members. We're also securing water the property, and we're going to be expanding. The applicant is expanding irrigated pastures on the south side of that Wheatley ditch, and the applicant is also committed to that enhancement of wildlife habitat on both proposed lot 2 and the following parcel along the riparian area. And then we're also going to be restricting the overall maximum density to 2 lots. So a no further subdivision clause. Again, just to put this out there, proportionality when scoring an application, the Planning and Zoning Commission should consider whether each commitment made by the applicant seeking variance is proportional to the size of the allotment being requested. In other words, an applicant seeking an allotment for a large amount of floor area would be expected to make a proportionally greater commitment to obtain the same score as an applicant seeking a lesser amount of floor area. And so some conditions found in your resolution applicable to this and the outcomes is a draft conservation easement on that proposed lot 2. That would be worked with the Open Space and Trails. And they make a recommendation to the Board of County Commissioners, and Board of County Commissioners ultimately review and accept that conservation easement. And that's the same process with the recreation easement. A draft conveyance of Lower River Road right-of-way encroachment. That would be coordinated with county attorney and the county engineer, and how that would be conveyed typically through final plat. And that's, rectify the property discrepancy, work with the title company and a professional surveyor just so that we can understand, is it 40, is it 37, and what are the actual entitlements and sizes of these proposed lots. So that's the portion of the GMQS portion. I don't know if you guys would like to discuss. I know this is a public hearing for allotment, so yeah.
Do any of the commissioners have questions for Franco before we?
Well, I don't know if there are questions for
Applicant.
Franco or questions for Grafton.
Yep.
I know Grafton has an applicant.
But if it matters, whether they're for Grafton, Franco, or who I asked them up.
Well, do we want to
Right, let's
Grafton
have
do his
Grafton
presentation and then we can have comments? Grafton?
Yeah, that'd be fine. I'm Grafton Smith for representing the gardeners. I want to acknowledge that Donna's here, so she's available for any questions. Also, I want to thank Franco. I mean, he's put a lot of work in this and, it's, really gratifying to see how, how thorough he has been in going through, our application. We're gonna try to see if we can bring this up.
Move through it, I'm gonna have to let you.
All right, let's see if this works. Ah. Well, I can get rid of-
Why
Yeah.
is it not
Do we
showing
go?
up on those?
Your screen sharing is paused.
All right.
Maybe it's on my end, sorry, guys.
One of the liabilities of being a Mac man is, PC world sometimes is not overly understanding.
Nope, okay, I think
I
it's.
could just hold my screen up, just do a show and tell over my head.
Sorry, guys. Okay, Grafton, let's try having you share one more time, I'm sorry.
Okay.
I think I kicked everybody out. There we,
That come
and I
up?
just don't know why it's not showing on my big screens.
Mhm.
Are y'all able to see it on your computers for now? Cause it is showing up on the background and I gotta figure out these TVs.
I think, but I trust him
Okay,
to describe it.
And
I saw Michael Kinsley years ago in a tribute to somebody. He was the main speaker and he had all these slides and that was when the slides. were in the
Carousel.
circle. And and it wouldn't work. And so he said, well, okay, here's one where I was standing with
Yeah.
it. And it worked.
okay, so how we do?
I see.
All right, okay.
I don't know if you guys.
This, you've seen this slide before, but it was just, wanted to show how, this property, really started.
we all have,
We have your application.
Yep.
Pardon?
We have your application, so we can.
Well, it's just, I have some pictures in here. I'm not going through my.
Oh, there's a new tab at the top for some reason.
Oh. No idea. I'm not too worried about that.
Yeah.
I'm not too worried about it. Anyways, just to show that this property has been affected by the right of way since 1888. That strip of land that we see between the two blue sections, which is the Rafter right of way, is the subject of an 1888 deed from the Fitzsimmons and the Wheatleys to the Denver Rio Grande Railway, which then became Lower River Road. This, I'm trying not to step, because Franco has been so thorough on this, he's actually covered a lot of the ground that I was covering in my presentation. But we can see here, this is the last chant ditch that comes in here. It ends in the property, it drops down into the Wheatley ditch right here. So then the area above that is the conservation, we've been calling it wildlife enhancement area. And then below that is, we can see on this, you can see the flood irrigation is not very thorough, so we're gonna look into try to make that more, with some more laterals, make it more efficient to bring more acreage under irrigation. Then we have the right of way and the road, Lower River Road, then the fathering parcel. Then from here to the middle of the river, all the way up to the southern boundary is going to be recreational access easement. And as Franco said, that there's this really is the keystone to a considerable length of fishing easement. There's fishing easement below us, and there's fishing easement above the property, and this will add 600 feet plus contiguous. The thing it also adds is that there's access off the highway. You know, these other easements have no the easements above, upriver from this property. There was no access. And, just because of the topography, but here, and Paul can speak to us a little, better. But Paul from Open Space and Trails was excited about this section because there is, people can actually get to it. And then it opens the key both upriver and downriver, for access. And then he was excited about this hillside here, putting that in access easement because it opens up all the BLM land above that for hunters. It's this is the original improvement, not the original, but this is our improvement survey. Let's see. And it just confirms that that it's a conforming parcel, 12.329 acres. I'll go back. There was a question as where we would take access across the right of way. And the current access, you can see it's this part right here. We were discussing when we had a different activity envelope, we had it in a different location. Either in the middle of the property or on the down valley side of the property. But in discussions with RAFTA and with engineering, they thought it was best just to leave it where it is. We have since, it's currently is at 12 feet. We have a private way license to cross the property. It's 12 feet wide. The brook at Roaring Fork Fire Rescue requires 16 feet. We had High Country engineer. So all the engineering's all been done to widen it to 16 feet. When we get further down the process, we'll pull the trigger on that application with RAFTA. And this shows the general topography. I just like the blue color, but the blue color is between 0 and 15%, and the green is between 15 and 30. So there's almost no 45 degree slopes in here. So it's a very gentle building site. And this is what we started with, is this shows the activity envelope above the ditch. This is our first concept, because it alleviated the irrigated lands problem. And with this layout, I could meet the 95% preservation of irrigated lands requirement. But when CPW saw this picture, they said maybe not. And so in response to CPW, we moved the activity envelope below the ditch. Now, the couple things in here is this in here is the ditch is right here along the edge. And this is the hillside here that is going to be the subject of the access easement.
Is that light?
Pardon me?
Is that light hill?
Light.
According to CPW, it says it's Williams Hill.
Williams Hill.
Okay.
So this is what we came up with. The location of there's a lot of activity envelope stuff thrown in here because, I'll get to some more GMQS stuff here. But the activity envelope is pushed to the Up Valley side in order to cluster it with the development on the neighboring parcels. And also it's in that location to minimize the length of the driveway, because in this scenario, I can meet the 85% requirement for preservation of irrigated lands. If it gets pushed any much further to the west, then the driveway starts getting longer, which counts against the irrigated lands formula. One thing we would like to, as the process goes along, ask the BOCC for relief from that 85%, just that we can perhaps widen the driveway a little better and put a little more breathing room in the activity envelope. But we can meet the requirements. This shows the clustering. You've seen this before. If you just follow this line, there's basically the middle of the properties all the way along. This is the neighboring parcel, and this is the Gardner parcel. And so to locate the activity envelope really does have it clustered with the other development in the area. Now, this is the Roaring Fork River it's especially in this state, it really is some attractive fishing water. And like I said, this is looking upstream, and where the other there. Yeah, then this is the last chance ditch as it crosses the property. Obviously to the right will be, to the left will be the wildlife enhancement area, and to the right, pretty much in line with those red roofs, is the proposed activity envelope. And this is just an example of that. It looks, we have some room to improve the flood irrigation. This is this is just a picture of showing the green stripe of the land that's getting water, and as opposed to land that's not getting water. So we'll look into that. And this is another just irrigation thing. We did look at putting in, actually, I wasn't involved in the project at the time, but it was studied to install sprinkler irrigation, because in the land use code, it says you get points if you improve the efficiency of your irrigation. But this, you take a look at this is a lot of work, and it's a lot of money, and it would, and above the ditch would involve putting a retention pond in to, so you can draw down against it for irrigation, sprinkler irrigation. So it was very costly. There's a number of reasons for not doing it. One is it's very noisy. It bugs the heck out of horses, and it's also very energy consumptive to run that pump. In fact, Ms. Gardner, in conversations with neighbors who have installed sprinklers to irrigate, some of them have expressed the desire to take them out because and go back to gravity. This is the area close up. You've seen this before. It's the area of the roadway that is on the property that we're offering to clear. We had a meeting with help me with the engineer, county engineer.
Andrew Knapp.
Yeah, Andrew Knapp. And he seemed to be quite pleased. It's not without precedent. There are a number of other applications up and down the mostly upriver from this, where in the past people have granted right-of-ways for the encroachments. So and he seemed to be quite happy to get this. And this is a picture of the road. The post in the background here, that's about the property line right there, that telephone pole. So basically from more than the center line coming all the way down, it's almost the full width of the road in here, and it tapers down and to behind to so it's not an insignificant piece of ground. It's a fairly substantial piece of ground. And this is just a view up the but I want to show the tree fencing. This side of the property has, you know, is solid. I think they're cottonwoods, the Buckeye. And in the other direction, you can see the contiguous, and
That's the up valley side, right?
that's the Up Valley side. And it really does create a tunnel effect when you're going down valley, and it really, you know, interrupts the feeling of openness. And I think that's it. But I was just relating to the tree fencing. And I won't, you know, if you have any questions, I think between the two of us, we've probably pounded it, but I think there's a lot of really good things in this application for the county and for the neighborhood. I think staff did a good job scoring it, and I'll shut up.
Go ahead.
I'm glad I let you go ahead, Grafton, because you answered most of my questions.
Okay.
The easement piece, so my question was, there's access from 82 to the river and to the wildlife enhancement area on the south side, is that? You mentioned it as well, but so there's some way to get to that fishing easement, or?
Maybe Paul could answer.
Yes, if Paul's online, he can speak to, he was, you know, I've never actually fished it, so but he seemed to be quite excited about the fact that there was
Legally
access.
upstream, I guess, from the weekly access, the weekly fishing access, right?
Yeah.
I think it's called the weekly fishing
Yeah.
access, right?
Yeah,
But that's from the Lower River Road side,
on the other side,
on the 82
when
side.
you go past that house that's right on 82.
Yeah,
There's a boat ramp there. There's
Seen that.
there's that U-turn boat ramp that you see, and it's just right
I see
there.
Van Park.
And I think if I had to guess, that would be the footpath access if you, cause that's where there's the only spot where there's parking unless you go all the way down to the old Somas Conoco, right?
Right.
So you can, I think that boat ramp that's boat ramp's public access. And you can probably, my guess is that you'd walk up from that ramp upriver to access. That's my guess.
And Paul is on.
Mhm. Oh,
Okay, so great.
Paul,
Yeah, you're describing it correctly.
right?
Yeah, that boat ramp is public and people use it all the time. It's really like a low water put in or takeout for some of the guys. So it's lightly used most of the year. But the way you would access actually is you'd park there and you'd have to walk on the highway shoulder, which isn't great, but you could walk up and then drop in at that driveway of those people because the property line does touch. And if Franco, if you bring up the map, if we can describe it a little better. We've been collecting these fishing easements since the 80s. The county has, even before Pickens County Open Space and Trails was a piece of the county. And I think now we've been doing a lot of good work piecing these together. I think a lot of you have been on PNZ and seen how we've been able to collect these. Yes, if you see that P is where you're talking about. So you'd have to walk. It's not that long. It's a short distance.
Yeah.
But you drop in right at that corner, which is right where the guardrail starts. And it looks like it's a good way down for sure. I haven't done it myself, but
A good way down to the river.
yep, down to the river, and then you have a good stretch of river to fish upstream. I don't think this is going to be a commercially accessible piece, but certainly locals will use it.
Where the P is commercial boat ramp, is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Commercial boaters do use it, but it's just a public boat ramp located on BLM land. And then talking about the access on the other side of 82, south of 82. Once we heard Curtis was interested, Curtis Tesh with Colorado Parks and Wildlife, was interested in making sure that if folks do walk up that hillside or end up dropping off that hillside through the BLM, they don't get hit with a trespass. It made sense to just extend our access and recreation easement all the way from the Center River all the way to the south boundary line. So we'll cover that piece of it. And as we work with landowners over the years, we'll probably be able to pick up more of these pieces to the east if that's how we want to move forward. So
Too
open space
elevated,
staff is happy with this. Yeah.
is 82 elevated in that section that you can walk under it? So if you're walking up the road and going down the river, and then can you get to the south side of 82?
It is elevated. You know, I think really Curtis is more concerned if you're to the far east of this map that's shown right now where the 82 square is. That's as the CDOT. Yeah, there's a CDOT parcel right there, and people can park. And I think really, I mean, people could access from the bottom of the hill, but I think he's really worried about if people are hunting on the BLM and an animal ends up crossing that line. He wants to make sure that people have access to hike around. They certainly can't hunt on the property, but they'd be able to cross and possibly collect an animal if it's crossed the line after it's been shot or anything like that.
Did you consider that when, just as he was describing that, I thought of that momentarily as a creative idea. Did you consider giving that a creative bonus?
I don't
Yeah.
I don't score, but I think that's what Franco was about to say that, but
I was asking Franco, sorry.
okay. Sorry.
We don't require creative bonus scoring because there's no competing applications. That's only done,
Another piece of candy.
it's just scored within the number that was presented in front of you.
All right.
So I have one more question about, so last chance ditch, it goes down into the Wheatley or whatever, and you're saying you're gonna try and improve the irrigation, and I think flood irrigation is great. So changing to, really, sprinklers, I wouldn't support anyone, so I think that it's appropriate they're not. But that piece that they're saying that they're gonna get water off the Wheatley ditch, do they have water rights for that now? I mean, is there some way, because they say you can't use any more of the last chance ditch, I thought I saw someplace in their application.
Well, I had a phone call, Grafton here. I had a phone call with Paul Noto this morning about that very issue. And, he was, confident we're gonna amend, he's gonna work it out. And we're working on it. Yeah, we can't pull it off the Wheatley. We have no water rights in the Wheatley. We do have water rights in the ditch. And that is a question. And, yeah. But I don't think it's, to the detriment of this, application. I think, it's just that we need to work out.
And the last chance ditch ends on on the property.
Yes, well, I have a slide for it, but it gets to the property line and then drops down through the neighboring parcel into the Wheatley.
Oh, I
So,
see.
yeah, but we're the last, the gardeners are the last water right on the ditch.
Do you know, when the last chance ditch was named and why it was named that?
No, because I have another client where the ditch crosses his property. It never ever came up.
Well, it's been there historically, ever since I've talked to the neighbors that lived there 40 and 50 years. And so, I mean, it just, they formed a ditch company, and all the neighbors on that upper side belong to the ditch company, and they do a very nice job of running it as a volunteer situation, actually. It's all volunteer, and everyone shares the water as it's supposed to be shared, and it's a very well-run ditch committee. out of all the other people I've talked to that have ditches and they run into all kinds of situations, we don't have that with our ditch. All the neighbors are really good on their properties and that the water is sent down as it's supposed to be.
Neat, peaceful spot on the earth.
Very peaceful. Yeah, very nice,
Unique.
very nice neighbors.
Good.
Joe
Those were my
Mason,
question.
Joe Mason's still on. I don't know if he has anything.
Joe Mason, do you have any questions for staff or the applicant?
Yeah, thank you. I want to thank the applicant for, I think, a very considerate and thoughtful application. And being a Woody Creeker, we see more recreational parking on upper and lower river roads for access. I'd like to see a little more thought given to parking. And my other comment would be that I'm not sure this has any place to be done, but I'd really like to see the lower lot have added to it cisterns for fire protection, because that is a major concern in our community. I hear cisterns only being added to the upper lot for the new home. And those cisterns, by the way, it's my understanding, are not included in the activity envelope, but they take up a lot of space. We just put some in. They're not small. But that's the sum of my comments.
Okay, thank you, Joe.
We have an extremely large pond that has been permitted by the county. It's been there like 30 years now.
That's on the
And,
father parcel.
it's permitted as a well. Um,
You have water and storage, right?
yeah, it's an extremely large pond. Probably what's the size of that, do you think?
We have a pond that's 3 times the size of our cisterns, and the fire department said, no, that doesn't count.
Oh, a pond doesn't count?
No, for some reason ponds don't work. We have 60,000 gallon pond on our property and they still required us to put in 20,000 gallons of cisterns. I think they're concerned with weeds and things in the pond and also reliability of water in the pond, but that's only my speculation.
Sorry.
Then he goes on to say, applicant also indicated willingness to deed a right of way for the roadway where one does not currently exist. I'm also supportive of that offer.
Okay, great.
And that was in Exhibit D.
Suzanne, do you have any questions for
I
Grafton?
do not.
Okay. Bonnie, do we have, go ahead.
How big is the existing development on lot one? It's not really relevant, I understand what you said.
I think I don't know exactly the size of the barn, but the house is somewhere in the neighborhood of 4,000 feet, 4,000 feet, something like that.
And it's probably 5750 down, but.
Yeah.
Okay. And
AR-10.
right. And the TDR. Because it was a TDR receiving zone, is that accurate?
Well, when you do GMPS allotment, you waive the right.
I understand that they're limiting it 6750, which is 5750 plus 1,000 GCD, but my question is. Educational for myself, as much as any, is that a TDR receiver zone? For instance, could the neighbor build 9250?
Yes,
I think, yeah, technically you could land it, like someone else, or if this applicant hypothetically did not go through the GMQS process, they could land the TDR in this zoning district.
In the process, since it's in the rural area, is that would be a special review.
Right.
And so we would look at compliance with the master plan as one example, but, it also doesn't have an overlay like Green Creek is over at 3750.
And the Woody Creek Caucus doesn't have a square footage limit below the 9250.
so what the Wood Creek Caucus says is they do not they don't have a limit, but they want, good design and aesthetic.
But some caucuses say 5750 or something, Woody Creek is not, so they're 9250. And then my last question is also educational for myself. With the new overlay, would this be allowed? You still go through GMQA, you can still go through GMQS, but it's an AR-10, which is given the right for 2 parcels on 10 acres, as I understand what AR-10 zoning is, right? And so with the new overlay, which is in the process, and once again, this is educational for me, there's nothing to do with Grafton's application. Would that still be applicable? You think?
So essentially what the GMQS allotment is doing is giving that new development, right? It's defining what the floor area is, so it's not.
Not defining the fact that the minimum of 10 acres. Or
Right.
It has to be 10 acres or more.
I think we're maybe talking about a couple different things. So the subdivision criteria is, if it's a 30-acre parcel, the applicant could propose to divide it into 3 properties.
There.
Because of zoning AR-10. They are doing a density reduction and only proposing 2.
Right.
Which helps them with their GMQS scoring, and the GMQS allotment they're requesting is 6750. So any other vacant property, for example, if there's a vacant property in Starwood, their development right would be 5750.
But my question is Elsinore Valley Ranch, lot 15 next door, for instance, or something, it's 30 acres or 35 or 40 acres or whatever it is, currently zoned AR-10. So theoretically, it could be 4 10 acres, 40 acres, it could be 3 10-acre lots. With the new overlay that we're talking about, which is in the process, which I know has not been approved, and it's just something we talked about a couple weeks ago. Is that eliminating that AR-10 zoning, as I understand it is? Is it happen? Just trying to understand for my own benefit.
Well,
Yeah, that's a good question.
so with allotments, GMQS allotments, currently they expire within 5 years. So if they receive this allotment for 6750, that property is allowed 6750 for 5 years. If that 5 years expires, they can get a one-time extension for an additional year, but if it expires, then their allotment is based on the zoning allotment. So say their allotment with AR-10 zone district is 5750. That's what their development right then becomes.
Could they subdivide properties?
Oh.
Zone. Yeah. Then whatever the zone.
Whatever, what is it called?
So I think,
I'm not, Grafton, I think this is a wonderful proposal. I think you guys have done a really great job. I'm not asking this to try and beat up the applicant, you guys about, you're not gonna be able to do it or whatever. I'm just trying to understand what the zoning overlay is gonna do.
Yeah.
For my own benefit.
For the future,
Yeah, in the future,
Yeah.
in the future, I think you guys have done a great job. So that's my question, trying to understand the zoning overlay that we approved to under the overlay. For the first reading of it.
What was the name of the overlay?
No, RP.
Oh, RSG.
RSG.
Oh, yeah, that has nothing to do with this. So RSG is for federal land.
Oh, right.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
So this
Okay.
is not a federal.
Yeah,
That's right, okay, thank you. Okay,
And
I'm
that's
trying-
not an overlay, that's a,
It's a rezoning of all federal
Yeah, it's
BLM.
all fair.
thank you for clarifying.
Yeah.
I didn't think the Woody Creek overlay came through.
No.
I'm
Okay.
thinking I was out of touch or something.
Okay, no, it's me that's not quite clear on.
Okay.
Okay, so Bonnie, do we have any members of the public? or
We
anyone
do
else that
not.
Like to comment?
We do not.
So I've done a few of these GMQS allocation reviews, but this is my first time chairing one. But I believe at this junction with GMQS that P and Z has either the opportunity right now where we can accept staff's scoring, or we can choose to score this ourselves.
I'm
So-
gonna stop you
Go
for
ahead.
1 second real quick. Mr. Mason, can you still hear us?
Yes, I can.
Thank you. I just wanted to be
Great.
clear because I had lost a connection for a quick minute, so I want to make sure you could hear. Okay, go ahead.
So yeah, for everyone, we are now at a juncture where we can accept staff scoring of 24, and we can have a discussion about that, or we can go forward and score this ourselves. Does anyone have any comments?
We have
Zach, I
to
think-
25, I think that.
Yeah.
Franco.
Sorry,
Sorry,
25.
Zach, I think even though there's no members of the public.
Yep.
I think we still need to open the public hearing.
Yep.
Of this.
Okay, yeah, sorry.
Okay.
We'll now open the meeting to public comment and a
Uh.
public hearing.
We have nobody online that would like to make a comment.
Yep.
The applicant is here. Do you have any comments?
Well,
Please.
I guess my comment would be, thank you very much for considering the option to subdivide the property. We've lived in the valley, we've owned that property for 30 years and, it's been very important to us. We live there full time now and the house that we're living in is about 3,900 square feet. And it goes down the hill, so it's like 30 stairs that we go up and down. We don't have an elevator. So we were looking at this upper property to build a one-story house on more of the ranch style. I think that would be, my husband is getting older, not me. And so, yeah, so I should include myself in that too. But anyway, we're finding going up and down the stairs a little bit cumbersome and I ride my horses on the property and, we fish. We have a daughter that lives in Carbondale, and another daughter that's back and forth that lives in, so we've been committed to the valley for all these years. We moved from Louisiana to, the property full time about 7 years ago. And, we really love the area. We love the neighborhood, great neighbors. I personally garden, I've planted almost every tree. I get very emotional about the trees because I've stood out there through the years and planted all the trees and now they're the weeping willows and the aspens and all these beautiful trees. They're almost 50 feet high. I look at the trees and it just, it's stunning. And then we love the river and we really love the property. We love the area.
Thank you very much. All right.
And close public. hearing.
Thoughts? On
Are
scoring,
you ready to entertain a motion?
I would be ready to entertain a
I
motion.
would move that we adopt the staff scoring.
Second that.
Second. All right, we have a motion from Suzanne to adopt staff scoring of 25 points. And a second by Doug. And I believe that I will take a vote.
You close the public. hearing?
Yeah, we're gonna close the public hearing. We're gonna take a vote on the Gardner GMQS. To accept staff scoring of 25. Doug,
Yes.
Suzanne,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes,
right, and I vote yes as well. So that's unanimous. Thank you.
We continue. I need to share.
Oh, thank you. Just wanted to put that out there, while we had a pause in the, you know, had the pregnant pause, and I'm obligated to fill that with a thank you.
Yes, so now we could move on.
Yeah.
To subdivision standards, 7-70. Of the land use code. I'm kind of scattered a little bit after all that, I have to write down everything, okay. So these are some of the standards, and these are all the standards in section 7-70 of the land use code compliance with the Wood Creek master plan. Again, I touched on that during the GMQS application and how it complies with the agricultural residential 10 acre AR10 zone district. The we look at the dimensional standards table in chapter 5, making sure it's meeting the minimum acreage, minimum lot width. And so it's all compliant as well. It's 12 acres proposed on lot 2. And that's the minimum 10 acres in that zone district. Compliance with all applicable land use code requirements. Again, whenever we review an application, it could be on envelope site plan, we have to review all the chapter 7, chapter 2, chapter 5, chapter 4. And so those have been met with this application. Development phasing, it's only a 2-lot subdivision, so the following parcel, lot 1, has already been developed. So there's really no phasing with this application. Road construction, improvement and maintenance costs. Again, everything's going to be conducted on just that one lot. There's nothing gonna be no dedicated road, no improvements to I just wanna make sure I'm writing everything correctly. No improvements really to the road. The dry hydrant will be a part of the on the activity envelope, so that will be an improvement for the neighborhood and the community around there. And so then public facilities, again, there's no new public facilities, there's just lot 2, management construction impacts. Any short-term construction impacts will be managed as part of a construction management plan that is a CMP, which is required at any building permit time. In improvement agreements, there's no dedication of any roads or utilities, so there's no improvement agreement that is required. This is, again, some of the subdivision review procedures. And so we have to look at these as well when we're reviewing subdivision conceptually. The application complies, again, with all the land use code provisions. The application complies with policies set forth in section 1-60. And, something that is brought up in 1-60 is to prevent fragmentation of property And so when you look at this property, one's on the north side, a Lower River Road, and one's on the south side, a Lower River Road. It's already fragmented, so doing the subdivision kind of eliminates that fragmentation effect of the property. The proposed subdivision is consistent and implements the intent of the zone district. Again, it's compliant with the AR10 zone district on both sides of the parcel of the property. Minimizes the amount of land disturbance, maximizes the amount of open space and development. I think the applicant has designed the activity envelope in such a manner so that it is clustered, as with our scenic review standards for clustering of development within agricultural and pasture lands. And it's also in close proximity to neighboring properties, so that it's still, not so close where it would adversely affect neighboring or adjacent property owners, but it will not also affect the zones of influences that are effective on wildlife. And then skip to the next. So that's subdivision stuff. Now we look at chapter 7, activity envelope. Highlighted in yellow is the areas that, on the right-hand side is what's required for activity envelope. On the left-hand side is the areas that are required in for site plan review. There's a lot more standards and items that we need to review at site plan review. And I did include a couple additional ones with this application. I believe scenic view protection was one of them. Because I know that the scenic view protections is very important along the Lower River Road. And again, the property is relatively flat, so grading is not going to be substantial. There's no steep slopes, water courses and drainages. Anytime a ditch is built, is above a residence, it has to be aligned, and so that'll be reviewed at site plan. There's no flood hazards on lot 2 of the property. We did get some CGS information back, CGS Colorado Geologic Survey, and their referral comments, and they did note that there is some alluvial, fan, poorly sorted debris, rock on the property. And so as part of the commitment within the GMQS, the applicant could have committed to a guarantee for subgrade space, but they did not, because they knew of the existing geologic hazards on the property. So they did not commit to that subgrade floor area. And so anytime we go through geologic hazards and how we're going to mitigate, that's always kind of brought up during site plan review. So at least we know during activity envelope and citing that it's there, but we'll review that further at site plan review. Wildfire hazards, the activity envelope is cited within a low wildfire hazard area. The wildfire hazard map does show, some good delineation between medium, low, and high and severe wildfire hazards. Severe wildfire hazards are typically along that steeper slope south of Highway 82. The pasture land, the riparian area is mapped as low wildfire hazard area, and that's where the activity envelope is cited. And then that area above the ditch, the last chance ditch, is mapped. It's not as steep of a slope, and it's mapped in a medium wildfire hazard area according to the Pickett County maps. So wildlife habitat. This one, I really wanted to hear CPW's take on the wildlife, because it is mapped within quite a few wildlife habitat areas. That being, it's within a quarter mile of elk severe winter range, elk winter range, mule deer severe winter range, and mule deer winter range. So it's within a quarter mile or within those wildlife habitat areas. And again, CPW is content with this development being below that last chance ditch, because that is that habitat that they want to preserve. And I believe the county wants it to preserve as well. So that's why the application is showing that activity below that ditch. And the conditions for, approval of the activity envelope is according to those wildlife habitat areas in the code. And the big one that I wanna bring up, and I believe Grafton brought up immensely, is the irrigated pasture areas. So according to the code, preservation of at least 95% of this is the standard of the property is to be preserved. There is some flexibility because county would always want to see those wildlife habitats and other places to be protected more, or sometimes in greater effect than the irrigated pastures. So that standard can be dropped to 85%. And without an administrative modification, which is the community development director modifying the standard, that cannot be lowered than 85%. And usually administrative modifications are done at time of site plan review, and we're not doing site plan review. But something to note, and Grafton had noted, I kind of highlighted a little bit more, is that whole property area below the last chance ditch is considered historically irrigated lands and above the Wheatley ditch. But when you look at the aerials all the way back to 1991 on the Pickens County GIS, it's kind of streaky. And how it is right now because of the flood irrigation, and how it is right now is not all completely irrigated. So if we were to really map the historically irrigated areas, it would be less than what is mapped of 6.195 acres. I didn't do the calculation, but the applicant is trying to add an additional 0.629 acres south of the Wheatley ditch. So that the proposed area is roughly 6.824 acres of irrigated lands. But again, that's not true based on the existing flood irrigation techniques that are out there today. So I think there is some discrepancy. And I know the applicant is looking for a greater activity envelope than 1 acre. And so I just wanted to make that a note. Again, special review and then the last thing, special review for CDU. We have to go over this detached CDUs, go through a special review process. With this proposed zoning and proposed lot size, they are allowed 1,000 square foot CDU as part of their allotment, and the CDU would be a part of or within the proposed activity envelope. And the CDU shall satisfy the requirements and conditions set forth in the resolution. This is a list of all the referral comments we received and is in your packet in attachment, I believe D. And staff recommendation is up there. You already did the first one. And so the second one is staff further recommends that the Planning and Zoning Commission adopt a resolution recommending approval to the BSRC for conceptual subdivision review, activity overview, and special review for a caretaker dwelling unit. And if you have any questions or applicant wants to go.
Questions? No.
So the activity envelope is approximately an acre, that's what it says in here. That's
0.99 acres.
pretty much. Okay. And we're hoping to get water to irrigate the rest of the stuff below the Wheatley ditch. Yeah. I don't have any questions.
Joe Mason, do you have any questions for staff or the applicant right now?
No questions. Thanks.
Right, great. So I guess the second item before us is staff's recommendation that we adopt a resolution granting the new development of $67.50. Under the conditions. And,
Second one.
so sorry. Oh, further that planning and zoning adopt a resolution recommending approval. No. For the caretaker dwelling unit only, right? That's what we're talking about.
To the conceptual subdivision review, activity envelope review and.
Yeah.
Yeah, CDO.
Okay.
So,
Entertain a motion. Yeah,
yes,
all right. Doug, second. All right, so we have a motion from Suzanne and a second from Doug. And then we will vote on adopting the resolution. Doug,
Yes.
Joe Mason,
Yes.
Suzanne,
yes.
and I vote yes. So the resolution is adopted. Yeah. That it?
That's it.
That's
That's
it.
it?
Oh,
So the resolution that you adopted has a whole bunch of requirements to go along with it.
Yep, that are attached.
Yeah, and then the other comment was, I think you said that it's normally a site plan that you do.
That's,
More activity envelope.
Yeah.
Changes are in there. We talked about having a little more room to fit everything in.
and that's what goes in front of the OCC, correct?
No, we're not doing site plan with this.
Right. But the next step,
That's
this
the next step.
application.
They can come back and,
Yeah.
and whatever, yeah.
Okay. All right, great.
And we'll see you again.
Yeah. Sounds
A
good.
detail, we're gonna do detailed and final plat together.
Yeah.
And so we'll be back in front of this August board, to show you how we pull all this together.
and then do you hand out your favorite recipe for gumbo?
Well, yes.
Or red beans and rice?
We'll attach it as an exhibit.
Well, there's a great chef in New Orleans, John Polk, and he's written a book, cookbook that's almost like an encyclopedia. It's just there on Cajun cooking, and he's on the front cover, and he has an alligator thrown over his shoulder. And I was actually talking with Grafton about it last night. When you flip through that cookbook, there isn't anything they will not eat. And the nutria and possum and raccoon and, all of these recipes are in this cookbook.
My family for 35 years has read at Christmas time, The Cajun Night Before Christmas. Have
Oh,
you seen that?
yes, I have. It's
just
wonderful.
Quite wonderful, yes, it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah, I do kind of miss it. That's about the only thing I miss. I do miss the spicy food. There's a lot of flavor to the food, yeah.
Yeah, oh my goodness, yes.
The etouffee, crawfish etouffee and this, and I'm originally from Texas, so when I first, and then I was in New Orleans for 40 years, so when I first was introduced to crawfish etouffee, I didn't know you're supposed to eat, take the filling out of so I was throwing it in the garbage can and horrified all of the locals.
Great. I think unless we have anything else, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Steph.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bonnie. Thank you for both of you for the technical expertise in getting that, up. I don't know that, it accrued to anybody's benefit or not, but, it's,
Well, now you know for next time.
well, now we know.
The
for next-
setting is correct already.
Yeah.
So Franco, I've